Hey guys, this is Allie with Allie Borba Photography and California Light Chasers. I wanted to come on today and make a video in response to some of the things that you guys were mentioning in the group and kind of go over them a little bit with you. So let's see. Of course, my tab closed. So let's see where I was looking. Alrighty. Okay, so saving and uploading images to Facebook. I can do a completely separate tutorial on that just so it's a little bit more helpful. So this one isn't too long. Let's see, how not to suck. You're silly, Chuck. I think that we all feel like we suck sometimes, but I think what the best thing to do is to get out with people that you really enjoy shooting with, or just put a post on the group and say like, hey, I really want to shoot this week, or hey, is anybody out there wanting to collab? Because for me, I really enjoy collabing with people, and thankfully people like Jolie, I can be such a procrastinator, but that girl, she is not. If she wants to shoot something, she shoots it that day that she says she's going to. For me, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'll do it next week instead. So she's really helped me to stop being a procrastinator where shooting is concerned, and so thankful for that. Flash, I don't really use Flash. I use Flash indoors, but it's been a while, obviously, because of the fire, but soon enough. But I'm sure Mike can do an entire video on that. Composites, I'm actually not into composites, so maybe we can get somebody like Amanda, who does amazing composites, excuse me, to do a video or something on them for you. Getting people to sign a damn release. I would say that for me, if I'm shooting with a client and they want me to not share their images, I charge them an additional fee. That's just my way of doing things, and they usually pay it no problem, or they'll be like, okay, that's fine, you can share them. But there are some clients or some photographers who don't do that with clients. Some of them just keep them out of their galleries, like online or posting on Facebook and social media. It's really dependent on what you want to do. For me, I charge additional for private galleries because those help me gain more clients. So it's really up to you. I think that you should be able to do whatever it is you want to do. Not everybody's way isn't the right way. How you decide you want to do something is the right way, if that makes sense. Yes, I will share a link to the channels. It's been a really long time since I've uploaded. My blurred backgrounds. These are really dependent on my lens that I'm using. How I shoot something, if I'm shooting through something, what angles I'm shooting them at. But I can show you guys some blur tips too. Your outlook on how you view editing, a photo, workflow, things you think about. I can do that. I can find somebody, like a photo somebody took, and then edit it. That sounds fun. And then the business side of things, gosh, I don't think that anybody can really help you with the business side of things because everyone's business is going to be different than the other. The way that I run my business may be different than how Mike runs his, or how Jolie runs hers, or anybody on this list, for example, could run their business 100% differently. I think as long as you're enjoying yourself and you're keeping track of your money and your taxes, writing things off that you should be writing off, and marketing and finding your target market and doing what you want to do, I think that's pretty great. So enough with the blabbering. So yeah, composite and color grading. I can't do composites. I mean, I am not very good at them, we'll say that. Color grading, I do a lot of different random things. I don't know why in my ACR my pictures look like this. I think I need to restart my computer, because lately this is how my images look in ACR, and then I open them on Photoshop and they're totally fine. For example, I will show you right now. So I'm just going to do some quick stuff for people that maybe don't really know too much about editing. So what I did is I added luminance because I always do. It's just kind of what I do in ACR, and then I upped the warmth some. And then sometimes I'll bring down the highlights because, as you can see, it brought in a little bit more warmth in this side of the image. So I will open the image and it won't be all pixelated and weird. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. It's so weird. So sometimes when I'm editing, what I'll do first is I want to look at the composition of the image. I have a really hard issue with shooting in the middle, and a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people like rule of thirds. They prefer that, but for me, my style has always been pretty much in the middle. For some reason, that's how I compose my shots in camera. So to give myself a little bit more of an interesting appeal, sometimes I will try and alter that when I'm doing post. So it just really depends on what I have going on. See, for me, let's see. For me, it took too much of the sky away. That's too much sky gone for me, for my liking. So I would probably do something, oops, like that, maybe. And then even out the bottom. Something like that, I think, would be a little bit beneficial for me. So that's like the before and that's the after. That's probably what I would work with. Just that's my own personal preference. So usually what I do is I will make a duplicate layer, or I'll do a blank layer and I'll paint in colors. But there's so many things you can do. So for color grading, it really depends on what you want to use. Some people use levels, some people use curves, some people just use HuSat or color balance. It depends on what you like. So usually I'll use levels or curves because curves are a little bit harder with like the weird dips and things. This makes it a lot easier for me. So for levels, obviously this one on the far right is your highlights, this on the far left is your shadows, and this is basically your midtones. So just for example, so like the shadowy stuff, this is the highlighty stuff, this is the middle tones. So red, green, blue. So the opposite of red is usually like a bluish color, obviously. So you can do what you want with that. You can go more towards the red if you want. You can use the green slider, and the opposite of green is usually magenta. So it just depends on kind of what you want to do. And then the opposite of blue is usually orange, like a warm tone. So it's just kind of a playing around with everything kind of thing. Just for example. So that's before, and then that's after, just playing with levels. If you wanted to play with selective color, you could pick maybe yellows, because there are some yellows up in the sky and in the bottom. And you can make the yellows more green, or more yellow, more cyan rather. So magenta, more green, more magenta. So this is like negative magenta, so that's why it's so green. This is negative cyan, so that's why it's more warm. This is negative yellow, so that's why it's got this weird muty tone. And then minus blacks kind of makes all the shadows go away, or you can bring it in more. Greens, you can do the same thing with greens. But, I mean, you can see a slight change. So it's a little bit more yellow-green. And then when you go to the right, it's a little bit more emerald green. See that? So I'm sure a lot of you know how to do this, but maybe some of you don't. So I'm just kind of showing you back and forth. So less shadows, more green. You can do the same thing with cyans, but there's not really too much cyan in here in this image. Not that I see, anyway. And then you have blues, magentas, whites, neutrals. I'll mess with neutrals sometimes, just to give my whole overall image a little bit of oomph. It just depends on what you like. So I'm going to leave that at 0. So that's like before and after. That's just with that. So that's with selective color. That's with levels. Let's see if I can do curves. I'm not really good at curves because of like, you know, but you can pick red, for example, and then, oops, I lied. Red. There you go. So you can go down for bluish. You can go up for more reddish. You can like move it to like, this is a shadow side, I think. This is the highlight side. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, you can do like weird curves. So that's red. And then green, up for more green, down for more magenta, towards the shadow, towards the highlights. You know what I'm saying. And then blues, up for more blue, down for more orange, this way for your highlights or your shadows, and same. So everything does something different. So as you can see, so this is levels. Everything is different depending on how you use it. This is selective color. This is curves. Curves is pretty awesome. I mean, you can tell the difference. I think curves is my favorite one that I did. But I don't use it very often because I'm always, with my Wacom pen, I'm always like, I can't do it. But I don't know, sometimes I'll use it with my mouse, I guess. I just don't use curves very often. Okay, let's see. So for HueSat, you can color grade that way too if you want to, but it's a little bit different. I don't really use it. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can do colorize if you want to. But HueSat's not really my thing. I don't really use that. And then you have color balance. And color balance you can also color grade with. Kind of like that. So it really all depends on what you want to do with your work. Let's see. Let's leave the curves on. Let's lower it a little. And then let's add the color balance and lower that. And I like those two together, so I'm going to flatten that. Okay, so let's see. Let's make a duplicate layer by hitting Control J. And you can do all kinds of things. I personally use portraiture for the skin because I'm lazy and I don't really feel like painting on anything or using separation, frequency separation. That's just me though. But you can do it however you want. For me, blur is selective. It depends on what I'm using, what I want to do. It really depends, to be honest. All of these are really awesome. I like motion blur. I like radial blur. I like surface blur. Where are you? There you are. And I like field blur and I like spin blur. So field blur kind of takes a little bit of time. So what I do is I keep it there. I'm going to hit high quality or else it gives this weird thing all over the place. And then you can hit enter or whatever and hope to hell it doesn't take your whole entire lifetime. But usually it does, even though my computer is basically empty. It takes a horrifically long time. So if I have the time to wait, I'll use surface blur because it's really pretty. Or maybe if you have more memory or RAM on your computer, that would be pretty awesome. But for me, the shit's really slow. Okay, so like sit there and like talk your ear off while I'm waiting. So what you're going to do is you're going to highlight your layer that you did the blur on. You're going to hold the Alt key and hit your layer mask. It's like a little square with a cookie cutter circle cut out. You know what I mean? You're going to hold Alt and click that, and that will invert your layer mask already for you. And then I hit B for brush, and you can just kind of paint it in. And then what you do from here is really up to you. I pick all kinds of different stuff when I'm editing. So as you can see, that's before and after. You can put it on soft light if you want to. You can put it on lighten. I use lighten a lot sometimes, depending on what I'm doing. You can use darken. You can use overlay. You can pretty much use anything under the sun if you want to. So hopefully that helps you. You use color, I think. I don't know. But yeah, so that's how I blur. That's one blur. So let's flatten that. I'm going to make another layer. And I'm just going to add these on top of each other. I don't usually add them on top of each other when I'm editing. What is the word? What exaggerates the blur or exaggerates the backgrounds is that I do a lot of solid color painting in different layers and soft lights and overlays and different layer modes. And that's what kind of makes the background look a little bit more hazy and blurry. So let's see. I really like motion blur. However you like to do it, you can turn it, you can do it straight up and down. So this one I would probably put on either lighten or screen. I'll probably screen because I'm going to hold Alt, hit my layer mask button, and then come back in with a low opacity brush. Sound like that. Know what I'm saying? And then you can flatten it, duplicate your layer to filter, blur, and let's do a radial blur. This one you can either do like a spin or a zoom. This kind of does it like this weird, like you're flying through outer space kind of thing, and then spin just spins it. So whatever you like best, just play around with everything. That's how I learned how to use Photoshop. I just played with everything, and for a long time I had horrible results, but hold Alt, hit your layer mask button again, and then this one I just kind of do it on the edges. So, and then you can put this on anything you like. Usually this I'll use like an overlay or a soft light or multiply. Depends on what you like. I think I've said that a lot already. But it's true. If you don't have portraiture, you can soften skin how you want to. I prefer portraiture. I like it. It allows me to bring in a little bit of warmth if I want that. So I'm going to +3 on the warmth, then I'm going to click OK. And I'm sorry if I'm going fast. It's been a really long time since I've made an editing video. And so I'm kind of just rambling at this point. So as you can see, I made it a bit much on her skin. So that's before, after. So I'm going to hit my, I'm not going to hold Alt, I'm just going to hit my layer mask button, and I'm going to get my brush, and I'm going to put my brush at 100% with my black color right here, because white reveals, black conceals. So black's going to conceal this right here. So I especially brush it off of parts that are really important, like the nose, the eyes, the hair, okay, sorry. So as you can see, it warmed her up some. So I'm going to lower this to like 54. There you go. And I'm going to flatten it. And that's just portraiture. You can use whatever you want to soften skin, but I enjoy how portraiture kind of gives the background a little bit of glowiness too. So that's before, and we're right here. Just from a little bit of color grading, a little bit of blur, some portraiture. Excuse me, sorry, dog. I'm trying to think what else. Duplicate your layer, Control J. Click S for your clone stamp, and I'm just going to clone this thing out right there. I don't know if I like the barn back here or not yet. I haven't really decided. So if you're not sure, you can take it out and see how you feel about it. So I just use my clone stamp, and then I'm going to take the similar color and just kind of paint it away. And I'll take, actually I'm going to take this orange and I'll add it over here. Something like that. You can still see it though because I lowered the opacity. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and make it perfect, but I just want to show you guys some fun little tips that I use. Control J to make a new layer. Go into your dodge and burn tools. I dodge and burn all the time. It's really great. So you can dodge and you can burn. You burn basically parts of you that are just like when you're doing makeup, if you're a gal, where you would contour, where you would shade darker, cheekbones, under the nose, Cupid's bow, under the chin, around the forehead. Just to give it a little bit more drama. And same with highlights. So you would dodge all of the places that you would highlight. So under the eyes, nose, center, Cupid's bow. That's a bit much. Lips, chin, and then brows, basically. So I'm not taking too long on it. I would do that around the whole body and then I would lower it. And then you can do darker for lashes, deepen the lipstick, the blush, everything. And then you can duplicate your layer, and then I also use the sponge tool, which use sparingly. It can be pretty strong sometimes. So I'm going to put it on 10 by hitting 1, and you can just paint over stuff, and it just basically saturates it a little bit more. And that's one of my favorite things to use. Just got to be careful because it can get a little bit crazy sometimes. So this is me being messy, just so you can see what I mean. You zoom into her face. Make her blush more. Make her lips more, her eyeshadow. Make her hair pop a little bit with the goldeniness stuff. Know what I'm saying? So that's a bit much, obviously, but that's before, that's after. It's very a bit much, but it's one of my favorite things to use. And yeah, that was super simple. I know it's not a full edit, but that would take me a very long time, and